Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Good morning and good afternoon. Good morning here in Delaware, East Coast, but good afternoon there in UK and anywhere else. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever everybody is joining us from. Today, again, we have, mashallah, tabarakallah, our Thursday thoughts with us. Something exciting today because after such a long time, I think after a year and a half's break, we have Urdu Adventures, Sister Salma with us now. Sister Selma is are the Samira said the golden oldie one of the founders of Your Parenting Tribe. We are beyond excited to meet our very own Urdu coach and Sister Salma Zaffar. And most of you know she owns and runs Urdu Adventures, a fantastic community of moms that wants to teach their children their mother tongue. And it doesn't have to be Urdu, actually. She's dedicated to teaching parents and educators how to be successful in raising confident Urdu speaking children whilst living abroad. Being able to express your feelings and convey messages in a polite manner is very handy skill to have, and this course is going to help you now and your family in the future, the one that she is launching basically. Sister Anjum Saftar is saying salam alaikum. Sister Sumaya Zakaria is saying assalamu alaikum. And now, without further ado, Sister Salma, the floor is all yours. How are you?
Uh, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Assalamu alaikum, Arab. It feels amazing to be back on here. And yes, it has been a long time, but at the same time, I feel like I'm not missing out on watching you guys and learning from you all. But yeah, being on this seat, it's been a while.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. So, how have you been?
Yes, Alhamdulillah, good. Kids are getting older. So my two girls are now 10 and 7. And yes, like I was saying earlier, as they get older, the problems seem to be getting bigger. So I'm definitely benefiting from your videos of starting to becoming friends with them now and sharing our problems and doing the discussion, as you call it, rather than just trying to tell them what to do and how we had it. And we never got a choice, or if our parents looked at us like this, we would do it straight away. None of that works now. So I'm learning a lot from you, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Sister Selma, I would like to ask you this. A lot of us are bilingual or sometimes even trilingual, especially if the mom and dad are from two different cultures, and their languages are different. And so, living in the West, yes, we have this one language. Not in Europe. In Europe, you have the other different European languages. You don't have English as a basic. I'm in the United States, so English is the basic international language. But this idea of incorporating the mother tongue, and the child's mother tongue is where they're born. I understand that. Like my children clearly say to me, "You are Pakistani, we are Americans. So don't tell us that you are Pakistani. We can say we have ethnicity that is Pakistani, but we are not Pakistanis, right?" And and I agree with that. I agree with that thought. We are the ones who came here. We are, at least I'm an immigrant. I'm not the first generation. My kids will be the first generation ones, right? And so my thing is, how did you come about this idea that it is a skill and it is upskilling our parenthood if we teach our children a different language that is ours, or that is their dad's, or that is from their paternal or maternal family side?
Yeah, I mean, our kids, as they're growing up, I mean, even mine, I mean, I'm first generation because my parents came here, and, we could eat salan roti like for a few days a week, but we wanted our fish and chips or pasta as well. Like, you can't do either, or, for the whole week, we can't have English food all week, or we can't have all the, our desi food as you call it all week. And we are your typical example of, khichdi, like being it all mixed in one pot, right? And the same goes for my kids. But I have realized over the years that you have to make it exciting, you have to make it fun, because they don't see the same excitement or attachment to the language or the culture as we do. I mean, now if I ask my daughters, what would you like for Eid breakfast? Like, for breakfast on Eid and also on their birthdays or any special occasions like that when they've passed an exam or something, I allow them to have their choice of breakfast. And 90% of the time it's like senya or halwa puri or something like that, and it's the Asian food, because we have attached this feeling of bonding over. certain foods, during certain festivals with certain family members. So it's all about that. And in terms of uh, parenting outside of when we are residing outside of where the main language is spoken. So, for example, we originate from Pakistan, and my parents, I was born here in the UK in Birmingham, and my parents raised us being able to speak the language, our home language, at home before we started school. So when we started school, we picked up English and we continued to speak our language at home, and obviously English added in, and along with all our other languages in terms of Punjabi and Twari and stuff like that. But what we found was that our struggles are different to our parents' struggles. Our struggles because naturally, like my husband and I, and like a lot of us, we end up speaking in English. It's become more natural, and it's become easier on the tongue, and it's done without thinking about it. So we have to first, and I always go back to this. And if you've heard me speak before, I always go back to this. You have to look at your why. Look at the reason why you want to introduce the language into your children's life. Why do you want to pass it on? Now, if you can answer that question and get that question where it really does pull on your heartstrings, then you're already on the road to success. Because if your reason and your why is big, so for example, for me, it was that, alhamdulillah, I'm fortunate that my parents can speak in English and they can communicate to my girls and have a really good relationship. But I grew up listening to my dad's stories in Urdu, and about different things, and even like including Sheikh Chili. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but it's a different taste to it listening to it in Urdu. And then going to the local mosque or listening to, Maulana Tariq Jamil's talks, or, listening to an Urdu talk just has a different taste and feel to it for me. And I wanted them to bond with Urdu, which is the language that my parents, that's my parents' mother tongue. And I wanted them to be able to connect and feel with that language and emotion with my parents, and not do it in a second language that is my parents' second language. And the quote that comes to mind is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you talk to a person in the language they understand, they will understand you. But if you speak to the language that their language, they will really, really understand you. Like they will understand you and feel you. And that is totally different when you do it in the same language. The benefits are in front of you. I mean, just the fact that you can travel the world, that you can communicate to somebody. And I mean, if I take myself as an example, like I'm a pharmacist, and when I'm at work, I find that sometimes I have people who speak Urdu, or not even speak Urdu. Like, so if I have someone come along and they're from Punjab and they speak proper Punjabi, I'm able to still communicate with them, and they're able to find home in me. And that feeling of them finding home in me, you know, ironically, like, back home, like there might be so many issues with the countries or anything like that. But no matter what, when you're all put in a pot, like, the Pakistanis, Bengalis, Indians, anyone who can share that language, and they do find home in me, and they're able to explain things. And the way they finish the conversation, like, put that, and when they say that word puttar or beta, beti, it just feels so good, and you can see them looking at you with a different way than if they stood there struggling in English, and you carried on speaking in English. Because when they see me, obviously they see the brown skin color, and they see you must have that background where that language can be spoken. So first we need to look at our why, and once we've got that figured out, I think sometimes we feel that we either don't have the time to teach our children Urdu, or secondly, we feel that we don't know enough, or we're not good enough to teach the language. And I found this, that when I was doing this, I found this with myself as well, because I felt that I didn't learn Urdu, or to speak or learn to read and write Urdu by learning it the way I was taught, other topics, science, math, English, because it just kind of happened, if that makes sense. Like our parents spoke the language, we were surrounded by the Urdu jung, and we wrote letters to our cousins, and we read, Roman Urdu. It was a mixture. We had it. It was quite naturally placed in our environment. So it was quite difficult when I tried to start teaching my girls, and I couldn't find any resources, and I really felt like the Pehli Kitab wasn't where my kids could start because they don't know the basics of it. And then also, I didn't want them to learn the Urdu alphabet because I felt that that was confusing them with their Arabic alphabet and their Quran recitation. So when you put all this together and when you're just trying to get on with the day and teach your kids Quran, pray, get through schooling, it becomes something that isn't really, it doesn't become a priority teaching them Urdu. I mean, we try, then we forget about it, then we try again for a few more days when it's become apparent or someone's pointed it out or you've realized the importance of it, but the consistency isn't there. And with anything, I have found that you need to be organized, you need to have the right resources, and you need to be consistent. So when I started, I found that there were no resources that were at a good quality as anything else that my kids were used to. So if we wanted to teach them fractions, for example, we had really good resources and so many options. But when it came to Urdu, there wasn't anything really that my kids could relate to. And I didn't find them to be colorful or interactive either. So I started doing my own, and I created a PowerPoint, and I started with presentation, teaching a group of kids because I wanted my kids to learn in a group, and that's how I started. But then slowly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put people in my place, in my path, and we created flashcards and worksheets and a portal with videos, making it all fancy and interactive. Alhamdulillah, and we still have a long way to go. But we have a long way to go. But the thing is that I really do feel we need to get rid of this mentality of we don't know enough, or I can't do it, or we don't have time. And I think we need to put it into our daily life. So speak in Urdu whenever you get the opportunity, laugh in Urdu. They can even write letters to pen pals. Go back to the old system of pen pals and write in Roman Urdu. We're still using the English alphabet, but using the Urdu vocabulary, and it really does make a difference. But we need to move away from it being a sit down table and a desk task. And I really do think that if you are looking for conversational Urdu, go straight to conversation. Start speaking in Urdu and asking them to respond, and skip that reading and writing, because this will allow them to see results straight away. And once they get that results, they will have that attachment to the language. And once they have that attachment to the language, you can move on to reading or writing if you need or if you like.
Great, mashallah, tabarakallah. So start speaking the language. Okay. My son, he goes to a madrasa and it's basically predominantly, actually, it's completely Bengalis, right? And so I said, have you started to learn Bengali? He said, no, they were more interested in learning Urdu because Bollywood movies and songs. So they were like, teach us. And you know what I'm teaching them, mama? And I go, what? I'm teaching them cuss words. I was like, wow, so proud of you, mashallah. Then when you said go directly into speaking it, like I'm like, Basami, how is that going to help them? Get them, Mama. It's a written rule. Anybody, ask anybody who learns language. They start with the slang first, then they go to the other benadam, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't work like that. Okay, have
It is. But
fun.
that's the thing, Iram. Like, sometimes like we use Urdu as the code language, and sometimes that works in our favor
Oh,
because the kids
yeah,
become
of course.
interested in the language.
Do you know that's what I told my kids. You need to know Urdu because अगर तुम्हें इनके बारे में कोई बात करी तो तुम कैसे करोगे? Like सब कुछ
Exactly.
समझ आ रहा है. अगर तुम लड़ाई कर रहे हो तो पता तो चल रहा है. Like yes, so universally our frowns and our high pitches and our low pitches, no matter what the language, you can quickly pick up. They're fighting, right?
Yeah.
But who are they mad at? What are they fighting about? All of this remains like intact. It
Yeah.
just remains
Yeah.
between you two. So you need to do that. You need to have a second language, third
Yeah.
language at least,
Yeah.
so that yeah.
Yeah. But you
Alhamdulillah.
reminded me of a point, like, it's so like my daughters, we used to like when they were little and we were trying to teach them Urdu, but we didn't think their Urdu was at a level where they can kind of decode or decipher what my husband and I are saying. Oh boy, that has changed because now my parents were like testing her. My brothers were testing her with like all sorts of like Punjabi and like Mirpuri Patwari, and she knows all of it now. Like she can actually tell you exactly who you're talking about, what you're saying. Because sometimes in the car she'll respond like we think she's not listening. She's like, "No, I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to do it." And we're like, "What did we even say?" Because we're really trying to say it not in Urdu and really slang it out, but she can get it. And that's the
Mhm.
other thing, you know, when we are talking to our children, make it a code language, make it fun and exciting so they want to. But when we get angry, don't shout at your children in Urdu, because, you know, they will have that negative like feeling attached to it. And we need to make it fun. We need to make it exciting. We need to attach it to good moments, because, you know, like my older daughter was saying to me, you know, mommy, when you call me and you know, you're saying come down and make wudu or do this and do that, don't call me Sarah, say beta. You know, because I say to her, beta ye karo, beta wo karo, beta ye karo. She's like, Mama, call me, say whatever you want, but then say beta at the end of it, because I don't know why, mommy, something inside me makes me want to do it.
Yeah, it's the connection of love. Of course, beta is more affectionate. It means as if you're not mad at them, because it was a joke between my sister and I. He said like, when mama starts a conversation, our mom, yeah, when mama starts a conversation, and if she's speaking in English, that means she's fine, she's calm. If she's speaking in Urdu, then she's okay, she's calm, but she has a point to make. But when she switches to her Punjabi, then
Then you
you
know it.
get mad.
Yep. And that's the thing, we can't even do that anymore, because, you know, at least our parents taught us the language and then they could tell us off in Punjabi. We need to teach them it first. And, you know, we don't want their palpitations going and, you know, blood pressure going up as soon as they hear the language first.
हाँ, लेकिन you know, with me, Urdu is my first language. I did not learn Punjabi, but I learned Urdu because my mom, they're Punjabi, they all speak in Punjabi, but they never taught us Punjabi. I think the 80s people, they were born in that era that, oh, Punjabi is something very derogatory. This is
Yeah.
in UAE, this is in Abu Dhabi, Pakistan. So don't speak in Punjabi, speak in Urdu, right?
Mm.
UK people, I know if you're Punjabi speaking, you go ahead to Punjabi. You don't beat yourself around with Urdu. So the thing is, when I get extremely mad at my kids, I switch to Urdu. I can't do English anymore. See, it's a default. I think when our children will get mad at their kids, probably they'll go to English and they'll stay in English.
I don't know, Aaron, because, you know, like even with me, sometimes I feel that, you know, like obviously Urdu was spoken at home and it was the first language, but English has become the dominating language, and it's the most natural language, and that's the language we, you know, learnt in, was studied in, sorry, at university and everything.
Yeah.
But even when I'm angry, like sometimes, like I'm really trying to get a point or I really want them to understand, it ends up being in Urdu. They're looking at me like, you know, that's not even Urdu, mom. That's Punjabi.
Yeah, I guess I am. So, not to diss English. English is beautiful. We all speak English 24 hours. Like, even somebody asked me, I don't know who it was, but they asked me, do you dream in English or you dream in Urdu? And I said, I
Yes.
dream in Urdu.
Yeah. You know, that's actually a very I remember we did a poem at secondary school, and that's what it was. You know, someone who had come from I can't remember what country, and they were saying, what are you dreaming? Because when you stop dreaming in that language, that's when your mother tongue is lost in a way. But I think mine's a mishmash,
Yeah.
but mostly English. But I think when it's a really sentimental feeling or something like that, something serious, it is Urdu. Like
Right.
when I have dreams like of like my grandparents or anything like that's quite serious, or anything like a meaning or religious feeling, it always ends up being in Urdu,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Alhamdulillah.
quite weird actually.
I guess that because they are our roots, right? Our parents,
Mm.
our grandparents, they're our roots. So to connect with them, we go back to that language. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So our conference is coming up. I just wanted to remind people who are watching that inshallah ta'ala, in 1 month, our parenting conference is coming up, and we're excited about it. We have started preparing a lot of good things for everybody, inshallah ta'ala. It's in the first week of December. It starts from December 1st to December 5th. We have fantastic lineup of speakers. We have really engaging topics, inshallah ta'ala, ones that you know that will really matter, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, this was just a quick, like in during
Intermission.
yes, exactly. That was the intermission. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. What else? What else would we like to touch up upon? When I mean, I know your specialization is Urdu, but you also help coach parents who don't
Yeah.
speak Urdu. Like when you say, I teach them to know their why, and so that they can connect with their
Yeah.
children
So
or connect with the language.
yeah, so I mean, what happened is that when I started my classes, I found that a lot of people were in the same struggle as I was in, and I'm not like an Urdu language graduate. I didn't study in Pakistan. I don't have a teaching degree or anything like that, but the struggle of being a mom whose kids, I really want my kids to be able to speak Urdu, inshallah, and to be able to understand it and build that connection with it. And then going through that path, I guess I have dedicated time to it, and that was my motivation, and I've dedicated time to it, and I have learned what to do. And Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed because Allah SWT has really put some amazing parents and children in my life at the start where they gave me so much feedback, and I was able to develop everything from there. And I've taught over 1,200 children now in my group classes. The thing is that what I found was that when I have classes, I'm only able to take a certain amount, and I'm limited by the amount of hours I can give and the amount of people that can join the classes. But then also, a lot of people, obviously, it's a paid course, and so it's limited in its ways in terms of who can access it. So then I started creating material and resources for parents to use at home with their own children because I don't want it to be a choice of if you can pay for it, then you do it. And then I have a Facebook group, which is like a safe place for us moms who are trying to teach children, who are trying to raise children to be able to speak Urdu. And in that group, we do a lot. I'm coming back into the group now, and we do things around. So I have an action guide which I'm about to release. It's on Urdu at home. So how to create a fun, natural home learning environment to be able to speak Urdu at home, and that action guide. If they join the Facebook group, they can. I'm going to inshallah be posting the link to that in there. Then we I also work with mums to be able to so we so to be able to help them to teach their own children Urdu. So as we said, it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, us moms need a village as well. Like it takes a village to kind of support that mother as well. Like I know back home, like when you have a child, the child's with some relative, like the popo, and then the mother's being taken care of. And here we end up being in a situation where we're doing everything. We're making all the mistakes in our parenting. We're doing the best we can, but we're on our own, and sometimes that reminder from someone really does make a difference. So that's what this is. This Urdu Adventures group is basically a village for us moms, so we can support each other, motivate each other. And there is a membership that's coming, where in which I release all the same materials that I use for my teaching classes. And inside the membership, it's a £7 membership per month, and in the membership you get the same resources that I use for my classes. But the thing is that you use them with your own children. So even though the course I have that's coming, it's nearly after an 18-month gap that I'm taking this one again now, and it's £197, and it's a 12-week course. But this one, inshallah, I'm looking at adding in the bonus of a Ramadan one in as well, for the people who sign up for this one. But the same resources that I use in there, inshallah, will be having inside the membership as well. But what I have found is that we need that consistency. We need that reminder from each other, and that's what we do. Remind each other, keep each other accountable, keep each other motivated, and basically just sharing what I've learned on my journey and how I've got here helps other moms see how they can incorporate that, because most of the time the mothers know enough, the parents know enough Urdu to be able to teach the children. It's like I said, we didn't physically sit down and learn the language, we just picked it up at home, and it's going back to that and creating that and giving each other tips on how to do that.
Jazakallahu khair. Thank you so much, Salma, for your time. Urdu Adventures, please join. Please join the group as well. It's on Facebook, right? With the same name,
Yeah,
Urdu Adventures.
yeah,
Inshallah
yeah,
ta'ala.
it's on
And do
Facebook.
take up this opportunity with all the great bonuses, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallahu khair, Salma, for your time. Jazakallah khair for everybody who joined in. Inshallah ta'ala. Hope to see you next Thursday. Please do remember to check your emails. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. Our conference starts on December 1st. And before that, there will be a lot of free stuff, bonus stuff, etc. coming your way. Take benefit from that, inshallah ta'ala. See you next Thursday. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.